Tesla planning on releasing their fully self-driving technology in China and Europe in the first quarter of 2025. That's according to a post on the Tesla AI account on X. The rollout, which is still pending regulatory approval, is seen as a move to further stay ahead of Tesla's China-based EV rivals. Tesla shares are trading higher this week after reporting 63,000 sales in China in August. That's a 37% increase from the month of July. For more on this, we welcome in Greg Migliore, Autoblog editor-in-chief. Greg, it's great to speak with you. So talk to me about the degree to which this full self-driving release in China is set to be a meaningful positive catalyst for the company. I guess I'm curious to what extent I should be believing in that Q1 2025 outlook. What do you think?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. I would be a little skeptical about that. I think there's sort of normal time in the car business, and then there's Tesla time. They might hit it, but I think it's entirely likely that it could, slip into the second or even the third quarter at least. FSD could be a difference maker for Tesla in China, and they also mentioned a European rollout as well. It is something unique. It's something different. I've tried multiple versions of it. It's gotten better over the years, but there's also a learning curve, not just for customers, but for regulators. So when things don't quite work, as they often don't with FSD, the government, so the regulatory bodies need to figure out how to govern that and, enforce things. So we'll see.
Greg, even as I saw this tweet, it comes with the context that Tesla has put some very lofty timelines out into consumers' minds and into the markets before, but the track record for actually meeting some of those targets hasn't necessarily held up or come to fruition at the time at which they said that they would. What should we expect here for real?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think it probably won't exactly hit the line as Elon Musk has pitched it to do. I think there's a good chance that as they try to maybe cater FSD to each market, I think, there could be some delays there as well. I guess it would be actually a real brain stretcher to figure out the exact last time Tesla truly did exactly what they said they were going to do on, their suggested timeline. Things like the Cybertruck come to mind. The semi, the Roadster. Where's the Roadster, right?
It's in space.
So
it's in space, Greg. There's at least one up there floating around. We know that.
That's true. And also the robot, Optimus, I think, is on time as well. So sometimes Tesla does, I think, try to, arrive, if you will, when Elon Musk says they will. I think in the case of FSD, though, it really is sort of a passion project for Elon Musk. It's like an articulation of his strategy for the company. It brings together AI with the automotive space. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see.
I'm curious, Greg, when you look at the broader auto space this week, there's been a slew of negative headlines. We had a downgrade on GM. We also had Volkswagen considering closing some of its plants. Is Tesla, and I hate to say this because of the bulls on our platform that are going to be thrilled, but is Tesla a defensive auto play in this environment?
It's a really interesting week for Tesla. We saw some pretty big market movement Tuesday and Wednesday, and it seemed like they almost got credit for not doing anything kind of weird, like as we saw with General Motors and then the Volkswagen potential plant closures. I think investors and many consumers remained confident in just the idea of Tesla, the brand of Tesla. I think for many people, they are the default EV maker. They're the first point of consideration when you're considering an EV. So I think they almost just kind of got some brownie points simply by not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you do see that.
Let's talk Volkswagen specifically. Is it too big to fail? Is it going to have an experience similar to what we saw in the United States in 2009, where some of these automakers were kind of bailed out by the government? What do you think?
So I don't think Volkswagen's in as rough a shape as General Motors and Chrysler were back in 2009, but I think they're stretched out pretty thin. And I think they probably have overcapacity. They have many factories in Germany and around the world. So their CEO this week basically said, hey, we're thinking of trying to close some factories, which for Volkswagen is almost unthinkable. They haven't closed a factory since 1988. So to even float that idea is definitely, surprising. They have a very powerful union, EG Metall, based in Germany, that will push back extremely hard. They have seats on Volkswagen's board, and there's also some state control of Volkswagen. So I think any broad layoffs are probably unlikely, but they do need to find money to invest in EVs to be competitive with Chinese automakers, American automakers, and become, I think, a more well-rounded global player.
Just lastly, while we've got you here with us, Greg, Stellantis announced late yesterday that it's scaling back production of both the Jeep Wrangler and the Grand Cherokee, which was, I mean, a beloved one for me when I was in high school and wanted to get my first vehicle here, just used. But what are some of the problems that Stellantis, though, has been facing as of late?
Well, specifically with the Jeep brand, sales are down 9% this year, and they let the Cherokee small crossover end production. So that brand, which has been a cash cow and really been, I think, the catalyst of their momentum in the last half decade or more, it needs a little bit of attention. It needs a little bit of TLC. Wrangler sales are down. Gladiator sales are down. These are really fun to drive vehicles, but they're also not the greatest on gas. They can be a little bumpy and jumpy to drive if you're not going off-roading. So the Jeep brand needs to put up some good numbers, I think.
All right. We'll see if they go on Wagoneer. We'll see here. But ultimately, a lot of roadway ahead for this company to try and figure it out here. Greg Migliore, who's the Autoblog editor-in-chief. Greg, great to see you. Thanks for taking the time here with us.